Bienvenidos y welcome to the Biz Bruja podcast, where we're claiming our powerful intuition, our sacred medicina, embracing our magic and healing ancestral patterns, invoke powerful creations in our own well-being, our lives, familias, community, and our businesses. Remembering that our businesses are so important at this time. I'm the creatrix of this blogcast, the Biz Bruja herself, Vanessa New, a modern-day bruja, fourth-generation psychic medium, clinical hypnotist, energy healer, and soul biz mentor and coach. An Argentine-American who started reading adults at 16, became a professional intuitive at 22, and now guides creatives, intuitives, healers, and entrepreneurs to break through fears, connect to the practical power of their intuition so they can serve the world powerfully. Hola, bienvenidos. Hablando hoy. Today we're going to talk about the new moon in Taurus, La Luna Nueva en Tauro. I know it happened este domingo, this Sunday, but I couldn't let this time pass because obviously, of course, if you're listening through the podcast, you won't see that I have a green shirt on, but I do. And, we need to flow with this glorious new moon for many reasons because, hello, Taurus season is here and we're stepping out to some degree of a flurry of activity, a flurry of retrogrades, which I'm going to go into detail, but maybe having a moment of peace and a moment of rest to just be here, to be present, to be grateful, to be alive. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on personally for so many of us, right? Because we're all going through it, but we're all going through it differently in many different ways, according to our story, to our race, to our religion. No two people will ever, and to our backgrounds and to our current state of being. So before we even get into this new moon, I think that the prayer and the intention that's on my heart is for us to have a little more patience for ourselves and compassion, but also have more compassion for others. We don't know what people are going through. They don't talk about it. And in this new moon in Taurus, the invitation is for peace. The invitation is to ground into the awareness that we're all ensouled beings, that we all are here learning lessons, we hope, right? And also growing and calling in the power of community in a time where we need it the most. So tenía que hablar de esto. I had to talk about it because you know how I am. Even if a day or two passes, I'm going to show up because I feel like this new moon is powerful. Just to share with all of you, I have a secret membership. I don't talk about it that much. I don't think I've ever really shared it. But anyway, it's not secret, but it's called Bruja Rising. If you ever were interested in coming into a beautiful, intimate community, so it's not huge, it's very small and intimate. We've been together 5 years. The membership started, 2020. And what we do is a new moon event and a full moon event. And it's all on Zoom. The new moon is usually in the evening where we're releasing stories, lessons, energetics, and then we are setting the intentions for the new moon. The full moon is during the day, during lunch hour, usually East Coast, Pacific Coast. People come in with questions and we open the soul records, the Akashic records, and we answer very deeply. Because like I said, it's not a big community. If you're interested, it's called Bruja Rising. I think it's still $29.99 a month if you're not part of the school. If you've taken a course with me, it would be $21.99 a month. So if you're interested, reach out. I wanted to share that because it was on my heart, but mainly, that I share information here on the episodes and I share information through articles. The difference with the membership is that you get to come in and be part of a community and also have time that you set up in your calendar where you get to set intentions, when you get to release, where you'll be in a container where we hold space for you. So if you want to know, let me know. Pero, continuing. The new moon in Taurus came in this Sunday around, let me pull up my notes. I think it was around 3:37 or 3:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. So it just happened. We're still in the flow of it. We're still in the energy of it. And the new moon, every time we have a new moon, it's really bringing up the energy of the new, right? Setting new intentions. So the eclipse season brought us the blood moon eclipse and the partial solar eclipse. And both of these were activated. They activated a portal of transformation, of change in our lives. Now we have the new lunar cycle, April 27th, where we're stepping out in new territory. And what better way to step out in new territory than the very stable, the very peaceful, and the very much embodied energy of an earth sign, namely Taurus. And so while the energy is still shifting, and it may be subtle at first, we should be assessing what is different than before. This is a time of really, I would say, protecting your peace. It would be a time of figuring out, well, what is my peace right now? Because, some of you know that I do improv and I'm on 6 teams, and some people are like, what, 6 teams? I would go crazy. It brings me peace. I work from home. I listen to a lot of people throughout, the global world that speak English or Spanish, and hold space for them in our coaching, private coaching, and in our work. And I love it. At the same time, I get to go out and play, and that brings me peace. So our peace does not look the same. For some of us, it's to be quiet, to be at home. For some of us, it's to go on an improv stage and be a clown. For some of us, my husband and I will be doing our gardening soon. It's time. It could be gardening. It could be watching a funny show. It could be going for a walk with a friend. Don't let anybody define your peace for you. And make sure that during this season and any season, you are accessing spaces that bring you peace, that bring you calm, that bring you groundedness. They're very important, not only in our healing journey, but also just in our life period, right? And so we are now moving into a new space. We've had about a whole month or so of no major planets in retrograde. So that means we haven't been in the process of reviewing. And the new moon is really heralding in a new time. But that new time, you get to define it, right? It does cover certain areas of your life. It does cover some certain sectors. What I would invite you to do is go into the wide web, on the internet streets, and you can go to alabe.com, or you can find something where there's a free chart and figure out where your Taurus is. And it does land in one of the houses, one of the 12 houses. If you need some help with that, you want a session, let's talk about it. But if you're a sun sign Taurus, this new moon is highlighting your individual sign, like me. I'm a Taurus, May 17. And so we are flowing into this new time. And the new moon is always a time, again, to release what no longer serves, or at least initiate the releasing, right? Because we always hear release what no longer serves as if it's just snapping your fingers. Sometimes it is, most of the time it's not. We know that healing is a process. We know that letting go is a process. But there are moments where like a truth can smack us in the face. We'll be like, oh yeah, I've let go of the burning pan that I touched my bare skin with, right? So there are moments where we can act really intensely. There are other times that take time to unfold. This is one of those moons where it's going to take time to unfold because Taurus is steady. It's slow and steady. It is an earth sign. It is a fixed sign. It is a sign of nurturing, growth, laying down the roots, creating stability, looking at our money, finding our peace, feeling ourselves, feeling beautiful, taking care of ourselves, and also understanding that the work that we're doing is legacy building, right? Because the energy of Aries is like, just get it started, just get it started. Taurus is like, wait, let's chill. There's a legacy that's unfolding even through our very existence. Just know that, we don't have to cure cancer or pay for a flight on the moon. Hello, right? To create a legacy. We create legacies by anchoring in the energies that our communities need, by being that voice of reason, by being the one who brings in the joy, by being the one who cooks the delicious meals. Media, articles, movies, things like that. All these things around us, surrounding us, can make us feel that in order for us to be relevant or important, we have to do some life-changing big thing that's seen all around the world. And I think that the new moon in Taurus really allows us to understand that we are shifting and changing the habitat, the environment that we exist in by the quality of energy that we bring to it. So never underestimate, right? The quality of the energy that you are bringing to the table in every exchange, in every movement, and assess yourself. Are you overgiving? Because sometimes we overgive. Trust me, I'm an older sister, la hermana mayor, right? So I was trained to overgive and take care of everyone. How do we create boundaries that honor our energy and also allow us to give in a way that's fluid, that's supportive? But again, learning to give from a full cup, not one that has like 3 drops left. And you're like, okay, I'm going to give it to my, friend over here. It's important for us to really create those spaces for ourselves where we have peace, whatever that looks like for us. Now, Taurus is a sign of nourishment, but also longevity. And it wants us to focus on the roots and really honoring where we are. Right? This is a great time to cleanse your house, to do spring cleaning. I mean, a little late spring cleaning, but it's still spring cleaning. Cleanse your house spiritually, physically, to cleanse yourself, to update self-care routines, to look at our money, but also to slow down for a moment. Pull out that hammock. The weather's getting warmer in the Northeast. Some other places it's getting colder, but just assessing, right? Get organized and give your attention to what you really desire, right? If you're really excited about something, give more energy to that. And then also give attention to the things that you sometimes don't want to give attention to, but are really foundational, right? Like our finances, our home organization, things like that, that really can make or break us at times. So this new moon really wants us as much as possible to focus our attention on the outcome we're after. So rather than the problems that we're dealing with right now. So what is the outcome? What are we growing here? Taurus is the sign of the second house, money, growth, longevity, legacy. What are we growing? What are the roots that need tending? What are the leaves that need cutting back? What are we taking care of in our own personal spiritual garden, mental, physical garden? A lot of people, well, I won't say a lot. Some people that I know running around, they're like, I'm old. And they're really not that old, but they're not taking care of themselves, right? Not that I'm an expert because I take walks, but sometimes my food is questionable. The thing is, right, none of us are perfect. But if we're not feeling good in our body, how can we support ourselves? I recently realized a couple months ago that my bad allergies that I thought were to everything green were really to like the elder trees that were around me. So that I was like, wow, I'm basically living on a land that I'm allergic to. So I've been taking care of that. And how can I take care of that? And I'm like, well, that makes sense. I've had now inflammation reaction for a bit of time. So looking at our body is tending to ourselves. If our back is hurting, are we stretching? If our legs are hurting, are we walking too much, not enough? Are we taking enough water? And how are we taking care of ourselves, right? These are really, really important things because our body's foundational. Our body is the house that our soul lives in, right? So just shouting out that we all get a little more sleep. And it's interesting. When you figure out where your Taurus is, my Taurus is on the 12th house. I've had like 8 hours sleep in the last 2 days that I never have, just saying. I'm one of those 3 to 6 hour people for decades now. And I've worked nights and I am a night owl, but also if I have to just get up at 5, I can. And I pop up and, my Gemini rising, yappy yap. So I'm already pensando, talking, while other people who are like Pisces rising are like, can you like be quiet for a moment? I turn away. Let me walk away. But just honor yourself, right? Wherever your Taurus is, it's in my 12th house. I need a little solitude. I need extra sleep. What are we needing right now to take really good care of ourselves and initiate a new cycle of care? And remember, that's different for all of us. We all have some basic things like we need to eat well, move our bodies, sleep, drink water, all the things, connection. But then the shape that it takes, right? And the style that it takes is different for each. Now, Venus has stopped its retrograde, so it's recovering. It's a planet of love, relationships, also money. And under this Taurus moon, it's asking us to really look at the habits that are not sustainable. Whether it's in money, whether it's in love, we need to look at that. Taurus is super grounded. It is the earth. It's steady energy, and it will support us to take the responsible approach, right, to resources and finances. So yes, follow your bliss, follow what you love, do the things you love, but also look at your finances. Society sometimes attaches or conditions us to connect our self-worth to the possessions we have or the amount of money we make, right? So it does take a big effort for us to realize that we've been programmed, that we need to break from that programming, and that our self-worth has not to do with the amount of money that we make. It has to do with ourselves. We are worthy for just being born. We're worthy for being a children of the divine, ensouled beings in a body, having an amazingly crazy, wild experience of being humano, human on this earth. So it's not all growth and games, right? Or it's not all finances and games. It's also about this Taurus New Moon has a square with Mars and Pluto, right? It's a Mars and Pluto square, right? So it created a T square with the moon. And so after sluggish energy, we're suddenly asked to move. But I want you to know that there's a tension that's been there since Sunday, and it's shifting already, but there's a tension because the moon has already left Taurus. But the impact of what we're setting into motion will take 6 months. Every new moon, when we set intentions, and it's the new moon of a particular sign, say Taurus, like now, we're not going to see the full impact until about 6 months from now when the full moon is in Taurus. So on the world stage, the energy of Mars and Pluto are protests, anger, speaking our truth, sometimes, unfortunately, even violence. So Pluto is symbolizing our world leaders, and the clash is represented by Mars, right? So we're having a lot of push-pull in government, people in positions of power, around finances, around money. So that's where we have to anchor in our peace. But know that these new beginnings under Taurus New Moon are really going to flourish. So just to say, I got a creative entrepreneur's grant. I've never asked for one, never tried to get a grant for me personally for my business. I got one, so yay. A friend of mine who'd been looking for work for 10 years got a job. Another person who's been shifting with business, this, that, like should they go full-time, got a nice job around this time as well. Some of you are still waiting for jobs. Don't worry, keep going. It's already in movement towards you. For some people, they got unexpected money. Other people were able to move people out of their homes that, a roommate situation that didn't work. So there's a lot of changes having to do with money, with jobs, with security, and with self-nourishment. Another part of this aspect of this new moon in Taurus that I have to share before we hop off is that que también it calls up the energy of Scorpio, because every sign holds its opposite within it, right? And so as it calls up the energy of Scorpio, and because Taurus, the new moon in Taurus, is abundance, it's fulfillment on many levels. To me, it's like, the queen, like you've done all this is who you are. It doesn't mean that it's about being a billionaire or millionaire, but just accepting your life and being grateful for what you do have, for our health, for the people who love us, right? For the lessons that we're learning, las lecciones que estamos aprendiendo. And so one question that I do want to ask us and invite you all to really look at more deeply, because this is a thing I'm about to say, which is if I got everything that I wanted. Okay, so if you want to close your eyes for a moment, if you're driving, please don't do it later. Closing your eyes for a moment and asking, if I got everything that I wanted, what is the fear around getting everything that I want, in other words? Or how would my life change if I got everything that I wanted, or my goals were completed, or I fulfilled my dreams, right? As we allow ourselves to close our eyes and imagine una vida, a life, where we're getting what we want, like our health is better, let's say income, the opportunities, like everything that we're wanting, the love, maybe we're looking, our self-love, our relationship love, the kids getting the jobs, whatever it is that we're wanting. If we were able to manifest that which we really were dreaming into existence, do we feel something in our body? Do we feel something holding us back? Is there any fear around getting everything that I've ever wanted? And then take a deep breath in. And knowing that within minutes, hours, and days, we'll be receiving more wisdom around this. And as we come back gently, I invite you to take a momento to just write it down. Like write it down, allow yourself to share what thoughts are. Because I can tell you this, a long time ago when I was thinking, or that wisdom came through that I would do this work that I do full time, I was scared. I was like, I'm going to be a weirdo. I'm going to be a total weirdo. Nobody's going to relate to me. And I'm going to be alone. And it's going to be even worse than moments that I've already had. But guess what? I stepped out doing the work that I did. And with time, everybody and their monkey's uncle and everybody else stepped out too, right? Because I wasn't one of the first people. As I've said earlier, there are people around my age who've only been doing this work for 5 years. I started reading people at 16 and doing healings in my 20s. And while I worked for corporate, I still had circles and guided circles and we were doing readings and studied hypnosis in my 20s and Reiki. So I was doing the work, sitting in Sweat Lodge. So I was terrified of that. But then I was like, you know what? The spiritual calling is so deep. The thing that lights me up is so important that I'm willing to risk that fear.
And yeah, at moments, we all feel alone. Heck, we're all going to feel alone. Even if your life is exactly like what your mother wanted it to, like you got married at a certain time, you finished school, you have the kids, you have the white picket fence, you have the job that everybody's dreaming of, you're still going to feel alone at times. That's the nature of humanity, right? Even though we're interconnected and we're part of the whole, we're part of the divine plan and interconnected in so many ways, we're going to be moments where we feel alone. So I'm glad that I was able to face my fears, that everything that I wanted, like having a location-free business. And I didn't know I wanted that, by the way, till later on in life. When I was told by an astrologer when I was 25 that I would work from home in the spiritual creative sector, I was like, no, girl, no, muchacha, I don't think so. Sometimes it takes time to understand what's best for us. And also something that works for us in our 20s may not work for us in our 30s, and so on. And so asking yourself, what's the fear around getting what you receive? For some people, it's that they'll be alone. For some people, it's that they'll be too busy. But I invite you to journal into that and then to create a new story. To create a story of like, if I do get what I want, if I get the love that I want or the abundance or the job that I need or the flow or the opportunities, how do I get to give back? How do I get to shine my light into the world through my legacy, to my family, to my community? Some spiritual people are very afraid of surplus. We're very afraid of having too much because ancestrally some of our people had it taken away from them, right? Through the Spanish Inquisition, through enslavement, through indentured servitude, through oppression, through many, many different things, through jealousy, right? Through power struggles. And as an ancestral healer, I invite you, especially during this new moon in Taurus that we just had, to tap into that. Is there an ancestral story that keeps me safe by not allowing me to have the fulfillment that I want in some area of my life? Okay? And another suggestion that comes through is also when you're writing down your intentions or things you're calling in, focus more on what you're wanting to bring in rather than what you don't. Like when I talk to people who want love, they're very like, well, I don't want this and I don't want that. Yo no quiero este problema, yo no quiero, right? But the thing is, and I did this work, by the way, to bring in my partner. When I started to focus in and just to really call into my body, mind, and spirit what I wanted, my focus was more on what I wanted to experience, wanting to experience love, to be valued, to have connection, to have someone I can trust, rather than all of what I didn't want. And so focusing in on more of what we want. Of course, I'm not spiritually bypassing what we're dealing with. As I said before, it is a time that we need each other more. It's a time where we have to find our peace. And it is a time where we have to anchor into our own truth and legacy. Because this too shall pass, my people. Esto va a pasar. No hay mal que dure 100 años, right? So it has to go. I hope that this has served you. I know I wanted to come in and come out pretty quick today because a lot is going on and I wanted to get this in. Let me know if this has served you. Let me know what ancestral stories have come up. And I'm holding you in the highest vision. I ask que esto o algo más, algo mejor venga a nuestras vidas. This or something greater flow into our lives. Sending you so much love. It's Taurus season, so love ourselves no matter where we're at and where we're headed. Mucho amor.